So there are a few steps to the deliberate creating process. Step one is life causes you to ask. That's what sifting and sorting does. You're asking all day, every day. And step two is what we just described to you, this maturation of your desires tended by your inner being and encouraged and amplified and growing because of law of attraction. Step three is you've got to find a way to be more of a match to the vortex and less of a match to what is, which means you've got to pay more attention to how you feel and less attention to what you're looking at, which isn't easy because what you're looking at is really compelling, especially if you don't really understand it. But once you get a whiff of this feeling of your vibrational reality, once you allow yourself to begin to understand that it's there because of things that you hear, like what we just said to you, and then once you begin to witness some evidence of the vibrations turning to thoughts and the thoughts turning to things, now you're off and running. Once you get a little conscious realization under your belt of how it works, then you will realize that there is nothing off limits to you, that there is no desire that is out of your reach, that if this time and place have the wherewithal to inspire a desire within you, then this time and place has the wherewithal to deliver it to you in full manifestation. But we want you to find a way to not need the manifestation right now. Because if you need it to be right now, if you say, I just can't stand it another minute, I've been wanting it for so long and it must come to me now. Since it's not going to, then your awareness of it not coming is going to play a big part in your vibration. Now you can reach the place, many of you already are, where you have such knowing, such faith and trust in the existence of this vibrational reality, that you're satisfied knowing that it exists. And because you're satisfied, there's no resistance in your vibration. And now these vibrations begin turning to thoughts, and boy, are those thoughts satisfying. Thrilling, really. You get an idea that just knocks your socks off, and you know it's a good one. You felt it when it landed. And if that thought is satisfying, then that means there's still no resistance going on within you, which means your desire is going to gather momentum. And as it gathers momentum, a thought will turn to another thought, will turn to another thought, will turn to another thought, until your next manifestation will be an impulse. An impulse. You won't be able to stop yourself. So as these thoughts are turning to things, your ability to perceive them gets more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And what we really want you to hear from this conversation is the deliciousness of this thought turning to thing, and you're satisfied. And then law of attraction brings more, and you're more satisfied. And then law of attraction brings more. Now it still hasn't manifested. Hear what we mean? It still hasn't manifested, but because you're getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready, you're satisfied all along the way. And friends, we want you to understand that this really is what living happily ever after means. Don't need it to have manifested in order to be satisfied. Hear how important that is. And once you get that, once you just get a little bit of that, and you can hold yourself there just for a little while, then what happens? The momentum grows, and now a thought even more satisfying comes, and now you're off and running. And then a thought even more satisfying comes, and then that impulse. And once the impulse comes, and the impulse is strong, so you don't question it, you don't resist it, you don't wonder about it, you don't kill it with your doubt. You follow the impulse, and you get a payoff from the impulse, a rendezvous that is meaningful, a piece to the puzzle of your unfolding that you're looking for. Ooh, it is so fun. And here's another thing that we so want you to know, because we know it so clearly. And part of it is because we have the advantage of seeing what's in your vortex and understanding what it's culminated to. Your inner being, that's us, knows where you stand in vibrational relationship to everything you want. And further, your inner being knows what your path of least resistance is to it, which means your inner being knows what your desires are and how they are unfolding. Hear this, you're really going to like it. And your inner being knows what beliefs you hold that are hindering to this desire. So when you're in the receiving mode, Your thoughts will come in a way that literally guides you around your trouble spots. You'll find yourself, once you get in this flow of unfolding, you'll be thinking fewer and fewer thoughts about those things that used to be a hindrance to you. We've enjoyed this more than words can convey. There is so much love here for you. And as always, we remain stubbornly and joyfully in your vortex. This is really good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My pleasure. My pleasure. So this whole conversation here today, our favorite one ever, we want you to know, because we have been talking about and really finding new ways of expressing, and you finding new ways of understanding that deliberate creating and what really the life that you intended to live is about is managing your own energy, period. Which means keeping up to speed with what life is causing you to become. So you might be becoming more energetically unconsciously. You might not even know that you've created this vortex. Most people don't even know about its existence because they're just responding to life and knowing what they don't want, knowing what they do want. But you did create, you have created and are creating this vibrational reality that is calling you. And if you don't go, then there's resistance, which starts out by negative emotion. If you allow it to remain, then it becomes stronger and stronger until there is more and more and more. But it does not matter what your current situation is. You're still launching rockets, and help still is coming, and there still is the high probability of you receiving the full manifestation of what you are wanting. It's always true that you can get to wherever you are wanting to be from wherever you are. But you have to remember how to discover your own guidance. There are so many people around you who want to be your guidance. And there are so many people whom you are around who you want to be their guidance because you're living more conditional lives than is really good for you. But then how can we say that to you when your conditional lives are what's putting the desire into the vortex? In other words, eternalness is dependent on all of that. So managing your energies is about the success that you're reaching for. And the success that you all want is the success of joy. And that success of joy, that success of living happily ever after, is all about this satisfaction factor that only comes when your energies are in alignment. Think about it when you're looking maybe at a stranger or someone who you know well, and you are feeling just such a strong impulse to love them. Oh, isn't that satisfying? To be thinking about someone or looking at someone and loving them? Well, the reason that that is so satisfying when that happens is because that's what your inner being is doing right here, right now with them. And if you're doing something else right here, right now, other than that with them, you don't get to feel the satisfaction that you feel when you are doing right here, right now with them what your inner being is doing right here, right now with them. You see what we're getting at? Think about how unsatisfying it is these days to watch so much television. There is so much to see that is not satisfying, because when you think those thoughts that one side or the other, we're talking about your political upheaval, that one side or the other is thinking, you can't be satisfied because your inner being is not thinking any of those thoughts. Your inner being will not push against them to make you feel better about them, or push against them to make you feel better about them. You just can't get there from there. Satisfaction comes from alignment with source. And so yes, watching some of that has caused you to put big time things into your vortex that will serve this generation and many to follow very, 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 very well. But only those who find a way to find satisfaction now without needing to demand a change in behavior or circumstances in order to feel better. Your satisfaction must not be dependent on somebody doing something different than they're doing, or you will never find it. Your satisfaction can only be dependent upon your ability to focus yourself into something that feels satisfying. And you can do it. And now you know that. You are going to live happily ever after. It's going to take a little practice. Meditate Sunday and see where it takes you. Meditate Monday and see what happens. Meditate Tuesday and see what happens. Meditate Wednesday and see what happens. Thursday and Friday. And by the middle of next week, you're going to realize that things are really different for you. That what you're perceiving in the world has shifted to a greater state of satisfaction. It's our promise to you. We've enjoyed this interaction, as we told you, more than any other that has come before. That's sort of logical since this one was most recent. But it was more emphatic than usual because your asking is strong. Your willingness to hear was particularly uplifting. And the shift in your vibration is notable. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain blissfully in your vortex. Really good day.